think just innate desire that I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what it was. And there was just a few sort of triggers that made me realize, like, I'm getting to my mid to late 30s. If I don't do this now, I'm never going to do this. I'm going to be thinking about this forever and ever. So I went to invest. I did this like course that you have to do to get a Go For It grant.
Yes.
I think I was surrounded by hairdressers, a couple of white van drivers who had no intention, they just intention of taking the money and then doing nothing with it. There was probably one or two of us there who actually thought, right, I'm gonna do this. So I resigned and I spoke to Willie Hamilton, who was the managing director at Liberty, and Willie was brilliant. Willie was like, of all the reasons I love to see people resign, this is it. People who've got the desire to go off and build something. I didn't have a plan. I had one customer lined up in the States. And I was lucky enough, on the day I resigned, word got out a little bit that I'd left Liberty, and 2 or 3 people got in touch with me literally that day and said, "Oh, I heard you resigned." I built up a decent reputation for what I did, software engineering and attention to detail and quality and all that stuff. And day one, they got in touch, and suddenly I had 2 or 3 customers. For the first 2 or 3 years, it was just heads down, building stuff. I had literally, from my Go For It grant, I had my salary for 1 month and £700, and that was it. And I couldn't fail. I had to pay the mortgage, I had to pay everything into the house, all that stuff. So really, I was just taking whatever jobs I could get and building up slowly. That's very different from taking an investment, where you've got an idea and somebody invests in your idea, and suddenly you can go at this in lots of different ways. Yeah. I had to build up a nest egg of cash. It was probably 2005. It was 2009 before I felt confident enough and had enough money to employ somebody. The reason for the delay was that actually I was concerned that if something went wrong, did I have enough in the tank to actually support this person through thick and thin? And that turned out to be a wise philosophy in this first hire, because I had a job lined up. The first guy that came in with me was a guy that worked with me back in Liberty. I knew him. He was brilliant. I'd mentored him, and he'd started to fly on his own. He was just going to be exceptional. But on that day, the contract got pulled. So suddenly, I had a high salary and no money. And I think we all know, if you're getting for your career and you're just trying to prepare for your business career, and you've suddenly the wolves from the rug's pulled under your feet, goodness me. But thankfully, I had enough in the tank basically to support that. Actually, a week later, I got him involved in another project I was working on, and it was all good. And within 2 or 3 weeks, because he was so good, he was knocking out of the park, and the client was excited. And then that starts to build up your confidence. So you're starting off basically coming from an engineering background. I can't have this thing fail because I've got a family to support, and you're just learning, but you're also delivering. And it takes a long time to get your head switched from being a contributor and bringing in cash to actually having you feel enough people to replace that rate that you can charge. So the economics are quite straightforward. And if you're charging personally £100 a day, but you're making a margin of £10 on a person, how many people do you need to replace you as a single person? So that's the thing you need to think through. But little by little, you start to build up your confidence. Little by little, you start to go, oh, this is what this means to run a business. This is what it means to actually start growing a business. This is what it means to retain people being probably one of your hardest parts of running a business. You're just learning little by little, basically, how to grow a business. I hadn't done any of that with any previous company. I was just delivering. So I would say that my route to leadership has probably been one of the most windy, torturous routes, because simply I've been learning a lot on the job with this underlying sense that I can't have this thing fail.